Long ago, the galaxy was ruled by the Zarnik Alliance. It was a group of powerful alien races who believed in complete control. They said peace could only exist if every species followed their rules. No planet was allowed to grow fast, no race was allowed to think differently. If someone wanted to build a city or start a space journey, they had to ask permission from the Alliance. The answer was usually slow, and sometimes it was no. The Zarnik believed that freedom was dangerous. Too much change could bring war, so they controlled everything. They were calm and proud. They looked down on younger species. The Zarnik lived for a long time. They thought patience and silence were signs of wisdom. Then came the humans. The first human ships arrived near the edge of Zarnik-controlled space. At first, the Zarnik ignored them. They thought humans were just another weak race that would fall in line. But humans were not like the others. They didn't send messages asking for permission. They didn't wait. They built colonies on empty planets. They mined metals. They explored deep space without fear. One Zarnik elder named Velron watched human actions closely. He sat in the Grand Council room, his eyes cold, his voice always calm. They are wild, he said. They do not kneel. They do not wait. This will bring fire. Many on the council agreed. Others believed humans would soon understand the rules. But they were wrong. A man named Tom, captain of the human fleet Riverlight, led one of the early colonies on the edge of the Red Star system. Called Valenine, he was brave, strong, and clear in his thinking. He didn't like the idea of waiting for someone far away to tell his people how to live. His crew respected him because he stood firm, even when the danger was near. The Zarnik sent a warning to Tom. They said, "You are building without approval. Remove your colony or face consequences." Tom read the message in silence. His second officer, Lena, looked at him and asked, "What now?" Tom stood up. He looked at the stars beyond the ship's glass wall and replied, "We don't ask for permission. We do what is right for our people." The message he sent back to the Zarnik was short. "We respect peace, but we won't live under chains." The Zarnik Council took that message as a direct insult. They called an emergency meeting. Elder Velron stood at the center. "This is not just disobedience," he said. "This is rebellion. If we let this pass, others will rise." The council agreed. A small Zarnik fleet was sent to Valenine. Their goal was to remove the human colony and take control of the system. The Zarnik ships arrived fast. They sent a final warning: leave at once or be removed. But Tom had already prepared. His engineers had built defense towers. His crew had trained for months. He had no wish to fight, but he knew they might have no choice. The sky turned dark as the Zarnik ships entered the orbit of Valenine. Then the attack began. Lasers flashed through the sky. The colony's shields held strong for a while, but they began to crack. Tom gave one order: launch the fleet. Dozens of human ships flew up from the surface. The battle in space was quick but loud. Human ships moved fast and sharp. The Zarnik ships were stronger in size, but they were slow to react. The humans fought with smart tactics. They struck weak points and disappeared before the Zarnik could answer. One Zarnik commander called back to his fleet, "They are not like others. They do not fear us." In the end, the Zarnik lost 4 ships and pulled back. The humans won. Tom stood in front of the communication system. He recorded a message and sent it across space to all known channels. "We asked for peace. You answered with war. We may be small, but we will not kneel. We will not live in fear. We fight because we choose to be free." This message spread faster than fire in a dry field, across many alien worlds. Young minds began to ask questions. Who are these humans? How did they beat a fleet? Why did they speak of freedom? In the council hall of the Zarnik Alliance, silence fell. The elders were not used to losing. Velron's voice was steady but sharp. "This is the beginning of something dangerous. Humans are a storm. We must end them before the storm grows." But not all Zarnik agreed. A young scholar named Jorn had been studying humans for years. He stepped forward in the council and said, "Humans are not just a problem. They are a sign that we must change." The elders did not listen, Most of them believed that control was the only path to peace. They decided to send a larger fleet. This time, not just to remove the colony, but to strike fear in every human heart. Meanwhile, Tom held a private meeting with his top officers. He looked around the room and spoke with calm fire in his voice. "They want us to obey," he said. "But we were not made to be quiet. We were made to explore, to build, to grow. If they want war, we will show them that humans are not weak. We are not afraid." Lena nodded. "They expected us to run. We didn't." Tom smiled. "And we won't." That night, the stars over Val-9 were peaceful again. But everyone knew the peace would not last long. A bigger storm was coming. The humans had sent a clear message to the galaxy. They did not ask for permission. They stood for something different, and the war had only just begun. The stars above Val-9 shined calmly, but deep in space, a new fire was building. The Zarnic Alliance had tasted something they had not faced in centuries: resistance. And from humans, no less, inside the cold halls of the Zarnic Command Center. Elder Velron stood before the High Council. His face was still, but his voice was sharp. "The humans have broken the law of the stars," he said. "They dared to defy our word. We gave them a chance to leave peacefully. Instead, they fought back and destroyed our fleet." Some elders nodded. Others remained silent, unsure. For many years, the Zarnic Alliance ruled through fear and order. But now, one small human colony had shown courage. That courage was spreading across space like sparks in dry wind. Velron raised his hand, showing a star map. A red line moved from Zarnic space to human territory. "This is our answer," he said. "We send the second fleet, bigger, stronger. We remove their colonies. We show the galaxy what happens when rules are broken." The decision was made. A massive fleet of Zarnic warships began moving toward human space. Their goal: strike deep and send a message of control. Back on Val-9, Captain Tom stood on the bridge of his ship, Riverlight. He had seen the signs: strange signals from the edge of the system, disrupted satellite feeds, long-range scanners catching glimpses of something large moving in the stars. "They're coming," he said. Lena, the chief engineer, looked up from her console. "Another fleet?" Tom nodded. "A big one." He turned to his crew. "We can't face this alone. We send a call for help. Every human outpost, every colony, every free ship, everyone must know what's coming." Messages were sent across space. Some human captains answered right away. Others were scared. But a few were like Tom, brave, steady, ready to protect freedom even if it meant war. In just 4 days, a small fleet of human ships gathered near Val-9. There were battlecruisers, mining haulers with weapons, even old cargo ships turned into fighters. It wasn't much, but it was something. Tom stood before the new fleet on a wide-channel screen. "We are not soldiers," he said. "We are builders, dreamers, workers, explorers. But now we are defenders. They're not coming to talk. They're coming to crush us. We won't let them." His words lit a fire in their hearts. Each captain knew the risk, but none turned back. Soon, the Zarnic fleet arrived at the edge of the system. Their ships were larger, with strong armor and heavy cannons. They looked like giants floating through space. The Zarnic commander, Gorl, sent one clear message: leave the system or be destroyed. Tom replied with only 5 words: "We stand. We will not leave." And so, the first true battle began. The sky above Val-9 turned into a storm of fire and metal. Human ships moved fast, dancing between the slow and heavy Zarnic cruisers. Lena's engineers had made quick upgrades: shield boosters, fast-reacting thrusters, smart target weapons. Tom led from the front. His ship, Riverlight, hit the lead Zarnic ship with perfect shots, targeting weak spots in the armor. Other human ships followed his lead, using speed and teamwork to turn the fight. But it was not easy. The Zarnic had numbers. They hit hard. One by one, human ships took damage. Some were destroyed. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, but no one gave up. On the surface of Val-9, families watched from shelters. Children held onto parents. Many thought this was the end. In the middle of the battle, Lena discovered something. They have a blind spot, she said. Their ships can't skim behind their heavy engines. If we hit from there, we can win. Tom gave the command. Small human ships moved around the sides, slipping behind the Zarnik cruisers. One by one, the weak points were struck. The Zarnik fleet began to fall apart. Commander Goral sent a final message before retreating. This is not over. The Zarnik fleet turned and left the system. Victory belonged to the humans. Cheers broke out across the colony. On every ship, on every screen, humans celebrated. But Tom did not smile. He looked at the damage. Too many lives were lost, too many ships broken. Later that night, he stood outside under the open sky of Valonine. Lena joined him. We won, she said quietly. Yes, Tom said, but this was only the first shot. The next day, Tom sent a message to the galaxy. It was not angry. It was not cruel. It was clear and strong. To those who rule with fear, he said, we say this humans will not kneel. We did not come to destroy. We came to live, to grow, to build. But if you strike us, we will defend what we love. We will not back down. That message spread far. On planets ruled by the Zarnik, some aliens watched with wide eyes. They had never seen a race speak like that, never seen anyone stand against the council and live in secret. Some began to whisper to each other, if humans can fight, maybe we can too. Back on the Zarnik homeworld, Elder Velron watched the battle reports. His face showed no emotion, but inside he was furious. They dared to resist us, he said. We will answer, not with warnings, with full power. The council agreed. They began plans for a massive war fleet 10 times bigger than the last. They called it Operation Silence. But Joran, the young Zarnik scholar, watched silently from the side. He had read every human message. He had seen their fight. He had heard the words of Tom. He knew something was changing. Later, he opened a private file and began a secret note. To Captain Tom, I believe you are right. I want to help. We may be enemies by blood, but not by truth. He didn't send the message, not yet, but the first step was taken. The silence inside the Zarnik High Council was deeper than space itself. Dozens of tall, thin figures sat around a long, dark table. Their faces were calm, their eyes narrow, and their minds heavy with pride. They had ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. No one had ever dared to stand against them until now. The battle at Valonine had changed everything. 14 Zarnik warships had been destroyed. The humans had only lost 3. Their ships were smaller and weaker, but they moved like fire. They attacked from the shadows and vanished before the Zarnik could strike back. And worst of all, the humans had sent a message to the galaxy. They had said no to obedience, no to control, no to fear. Elder Velron stood at the center of the chamber. He was older than most. His voice had led many wars, and his name brought fear in the past. Now his voice was sharp, but it did not shake the room like it used to. We must crush this human threat, he said. Not tomorrow. Now, they must be erased before others follow them. Some nodded. Some looked down. But one figure did not agree. Jor Ann, the youngest member of the council, raised his hand. His skin was pale silver, his eyes bright with knowledge. Crushing them will not stop this, Jorn said calmly. They have already planted a seed in the galaxy. You destroy their ships, but you cannot destroy their spirit. Their words are now everywhere. They speak of freedom, and others are listening. Velron narrowed his eyes. Are you defending them? I am speaking truth, Jorn replied. We should study them, understand them, learn why they are different. They are dangerous because they are not afraid, Velron said. That is not something to study. That is something to end. The room remained quiet. No one dared to speak more. Velron was still powerful, and most feared him more than they trusted Jorn's ideas. Later that night, Jorn walked alone through the shining halls of the Zarnik city. He looked up at the stars. He had read every human message. He had seen their videos, their speeches, their bravery in the face of death. They were not perfect. They made mistakes. But they believed in something the Zarnik had forgotten long ago. Choice, back. In human space, Captain Tom was not celebrating. He sat in the war room with his officers. The battle was won, but war had only just begun. We hurt them, Tom said. But now they'll come with everything. Lena leaned over the table, looking at the map. Then we need help. We can't hold another system alone. Tom agreed. It's time to speak to the colonies. Messages were sent across all human settlements. Some colonies were hidden on icy moons. Others floated above gas giants. Many were not ready for war. They had small defense teams, old ships, weak supplies. Tom sent them all one message. This is not just about Valentine. This is about every colony, every person, every dream we have built. If we let the Zarnak crush one, they will crush all. We must stand together, now. The message spread fast. Some were afraid, but many remembered Earth's old history. Humanity had never liked chains. Not on Earth, not in space. Within weeks, 10 more colonies agreed to support Tom's fleet. Some sent fighters, some sent fuel, some sent workers and builders, even one old station, long forgotten, opened again to serve as a command hub. Back in the Zarnak capital, Elder Velron sent orders to build the largest fleet in centuries. Over 100 ships, every weapon, every drone. He called it Stormlight. We will not give warnings, he told his generals. We will remove every human system in our path, one by one. At the same time, Jorn sat in his private chamber. He opened a hidden channel. He had been watching Tom closely. He had learned something important. The humans did not want war. They only wanted peace without chains. Jor and wrote a short message. To Captain Tom, I'm Jorn of Zarnak. I do not agree with my council. I believe peace is possible. I can offer knowledge, but only if I am trusted. He paused. Sending this message could end his life. But his heart told him this was right. He pressed send. In human space. The message arrived at Tom's ship. The crew was shocked. A Zarnak sending a message of peace? Tom. Read it twice. Then he looked at Lena. Could be a trap. Lena nodded. Could also be real. We've seen their leaders. This one speaks different. Tom thought deeply. If he's real, he might help us stop this war. He sent a reply. We want peace, but not at the cost of our freedom. If you are honest, then speak clearly. What do you know? Back on the Zarnak side, Jorn smiled when he saw the reply. The first bridge had been built. Meanwhile, human engineers began building faster ships. Lena led the work. She created new engine boosters, better shields, and small smart drones for defense. On the moon base of Kalo 3, a group of young human pilots trained day and night. They were fast learners. They called themselves Sky Sparks. They said they would never let another colony fall. Tom watched their training and felt proud. Not because they were strong, but because they believed. He stood before them and said, "You don't fight because you hate. You fight because you love what you protect. Never forget that." Across the stars, the fire of war was rising. But so was the fire of unity. The Zarnak were preparing to crush. The humans were preparing to rise. And in the middle of it all, one Zarnak scholar had broken silence. The war was no longer just about space. It was about ideas. And ideas, once born, could not be erased. The stars were no longer quiet. Very day brought new signs of warships. Moved faster fleets grew larger and across the galaxy. People waited for what would happen next in the planet Dranar 5. A human mining colony received a warning from the Zarnak. It was short and cold. Leave your operations, obey the laws of the Alliance, or be removed by force. The colony's leader, Captain Yul, stood tall in front of his workers, read the message, and then tore it in half. We don't run, he said. We dig, we build, we survive. If they come, we fight. Back at the human command station, Captain Tom received reports from across the stars. More human colonies were being threatened. Some were being attacked. A few already destroyed. Him sat at the center of the war room aboard. Riverlight Lina stood beside him, checking energy routes and new shield plans. Other officers watched galaxy maps full of red dots and moving fleets. Some spoke with calm fire. We can't defend everywhere, but we can strike where it matters. They expect us to hide. We won't. We hit first. The crew nodded. They were tired, but they believed in Tom had never lied to them and always stood at the front. In the next 2 weeks, 3 major human fleets were formed. Each one was built from volunteers. Some were pilots, some were farmers who had never touched a weapon, but they trained day and night in a cold moon called Heron's Edge. The youngest fighters joined the new group called Dust Bladis. They had no war medals, no space schools, but their eyes burned with courage. Alina watched them and said softly, "They don't look ready." Tom replied, "They don't need to look ready. They just need to stand." The first human counterattack began in the system of Vex, for the Zarnik had taken control of a station there, using it as a forward base. Tom's fleet entered the system. Quiet Lithire ships spread out in waves. They used the cover of dark space. And silent Drivis. Lena gave the final signal. Shields up. Fire when ready. The battle began like lightning. Zarnak warships fired lasers across the black sky, but the humans moved fast. They used smaller ships to confuse the enemy drones, attacked from blind spots. Lina's new energy web wrapped around the enemy shields and pulled power from Themon's Zarnik ship. Exploded in a flash of red. Then another and another. In less than 2 hours, the human fleet took the station and sent a message across open channels: "You cannot rule those who do not fear. We fight not for power but for peace. But we will not kneel." The message spread across hundreds of systems. Some alien races who were once loyal to the Zarnik began to question the alien-signed secret rooms and dark corners. They spoke to each other: "If humans can stand, why not us?" In the Zarnik capital, Elder Velron was furious, smashed a silver table in anger. This should have ended already. He shouted, "They are farmers, miners, children, yet they break our fleets." Joran, the quiet Zarnik scholar, stood nearby, had remained silent for many days. No, he finally spoke. "You lose because you do not listen. You do not understand humans. You see them as simple creatures, but they fight with purpose. You gave them no choice." Velron pointed a finger at him. "Enough. You defend them again. You forget who you are." "I remember exactly who I am," Joran replied. "That's why I say this your war will end in your failure." Joran left the chamber, returned to his secret room, and opened the hidden communication line to Tom. "Connection was strong, Captain Tom," Joran said. "They plan to strike Earth next." Tom froze for a second. "How do you know?" "They finished building the main fleet. They call it Stormlight. 200 ships, full power. They leave in 6 days." Tom nodded. "Then we don't wait for them to come to us." He called a full meeting with all human fleet leaders. The plan was bold and dangerous, but it was the only way. "We hit them first," Tom said. "We attack their gathering point before the fleet leaves. We stop this war at the edge." Some were unsure, many were afraid, but in the end, they all agreed. In the shadows of space, human ships gathered like a growing storm. The fleet moved quietly, avoiding known scanner routes. They reached the Zarnik fleet yard in the narrow system just 3 days before Stormlight was set to launch. Lena looked at the giant Zarnik carriers, floating like silent mountains in orbit. "We've never fought anything like this," she said. Tom smiled faintly. "We've never had something this important to fight for." The attack began with a massive shock pulse sent from Lina's energy web. It fried the sensors of half the enemy ships. Then the human fleet dove in. Missiles flew, lasers burned, drones moved like metal bees across the sky. Some human ships were lost in the first hour, but they kept going. Inside his ship, Tom gave direct orders: "Target the fuel cores. Hit the command towers. We break their spine before they wake up." And they did. Explosions lit the dark skies. Zarnik crew members ran to their weapons to Latium by one. The command ships were taken down. By the end of the 3rd hour, half the Stormlight fleet was destroyed. The rest tried to escape, but the humans blocked their path. Joran sent a message to the Zarnik leaders: "The humans do not want to rule. They only want to live free. If you continue this war, you will lose not just ships, but the galaxy's trust." Velron refused to answer, but many Zarnik generals began to think differently. Back in human space, cheers filled every colony. Families cried and hugged, children laughed. It was not the end of the war, but it was the beginning of hope. Tom stood before his crew after the battle. "You were told we had no chance," he said. "You were told the Alliance cannot be stopped. But you stood, and you proved something powerful. Humans are not small. We are not weak. We are not afraid." The stars now carried a new sound, not of silence, senate of orders, but of free demand war across the stars. was no longer just survival, it was a fight for the future. The war had reached a new level. The Zarnic Alliance was furious after the loss of half of their Storm Light fleet. They knew they had to act quickly to save their power. The next target was clear: Earth, the homeworld of humanity. It was the heart of human space, where millions lived and where hope was strongest. Inside the great halls of the Zarnic capital, Elder Velron stood before the council. His face was cold, but his eyes burned with determination. "We must strike Earth with everything we have," he said. "If we take Earth, the humans will lose their spirit. They will beg for mercy." Joran, the young scholar, again spoke out. His voice was steady, but filled with worry. "Attacking Earth will unite the humans like never before. They will fight harder than any before. You risk everything." Velron answered sharply. "We risk losing everything if we do not act. The time for talk is over." The council gave its approval. A massive fleet, stronger and faster than before, began moving toward Earth. It was the largest fleet the galaxy had seen in centuries. The war was about to reach its greatest battle. Meanwhile, on Earth, Captain Tom stood watching the stars from the command bridge. His crew worked quickly to prepare defenses. Lena worked on improving the energy shields that surrounded the planet. The people on Earth were ready to fight, but no one wanted war. A message from Joran arrived in secret. "They are coming with full force. You must prepare. I can help inside the council if you trust me." Tom looked at the message carefully. He had come to trust the Zarnic scholar, but he knew it was dangerous. Still, this help might save many lives. "We will trust you, Joran," Tom sent back. The human fleet gathered near Earth. Ships of every size and shape came from colonies across the stars. Many were damaged from previous fights, but their crews had hope and courage. When the Zarnic fleet entered Earth's system, the sky darkened with their ships. Thousands of warships filled the space around the blue planet. The first attack began with a blast that shook Earth's atmosphere. Lasers and missiles flew in every direction. The human energy shields held strong, but the attack was fierce. Tom's fleet rushed to meet the enemy. The battle was like thunder. Explosions lit up the stars. Ships moved fast, dodging blasts and firing back. Lena's new shield system was put to the test. It absorbed heavy fire, protecting cities and space stations below. But the Zarnic were relentless. They wanted to break the human spirit. Slowly, they pushed closer to Earth. In the middle of the battle, Tom received a secret message from Joran. "Now is the time." The council is divided. Some elders want peace, others want to continue the war. You must strike the council seat, cut their command, and the war may end. Tom knew this was risky, but it was their best chance. He gathered his bravest pilots and prepared a special team. They called themselves the Stormbreakers. Their mission was to enter the heart of Zarnic space and take the council world. The journey was dangerous. Enemy patrols searched every system, but the Stormbreakers moved fast and used every trick to avoid detection. Meanwhile, back in the battle near Earth, the fight was fierce. Human ships were lost, but their courage never faded. Captain Yelon Dranar 5 sent a message to Tom. "We hold our ground. The spirit of humans cannot be broken." This gave Tom strength. After days of travel, the Stormbreakers reached the Zarnic Council world. It was a massive planet covered with tall towers and shining cities, but it was heavily defended. The team attacked quickly. Their ships flew through enemy fire and landed on the surface. Inside the council chamber, confusion was growing. Some elders wanted to stop the war, but Velron refused. Suddenly, the doors burst open. Tom and his team entered. "I'm Captain Tom," he said. "This war must end. You have lost the trust of many. It is time for peace." Velron stood, furious. "You dare enter here? You are an enemy of the galaxy." Tom stood firm. "I am a human. We fight for freedom, and we fight for peace." The room grew tense. Then, a group of elders stepped forward. They agreed with Tom. The war was destroying the galaxy and must end. Velron tried to resist, but the council was stronger. A new leader was chosen, one who wanted peace. With the council broken, Jorn sent a message to Tom. The war is ending. The Alliance will change. Back near Earth, the Zarnik fleet received the news. Confused and losing command, many ships began to retreat. Tom's fleet pressed forward, pushing the enemy away from the planet. After weeks of fighting, the skies over Earth were clear again. People cheered. Families hugged. Hope returned. Tom stood before the people and said, "We fought not for war, but for peace. We fought because we believed in freedom. And now, we must build a better future together." Lena smiled beside him. This is only the beginning. The galaxy had changed. The Zarnik Alliance was no longer the same. A new time was coming, a time where freedom could grow. Humans had stood tall. They had shown that courage and hope could light the darkest stars. And the future was theirs too. Shape, the war had shaken the galaxy to its core. The once powerful Zarnik Alliance was no longer united. The Council's old order was broken, and new voices rose among the stars everywhere. Smaller alien species began to question the rule they had lived under for centuries. They looked to the humans, those fearless beings who had refused to bow and found hope. Captain Tom stood on the bridge of his ship, Riverlight, watching the flickering lights of distant systems. His voice was calm, but filled with strength. This is not just a war between humans and Zarnik. It is a fight for freedom for all. We must help those who want to rise and break their chains. His second officer, Lena, nodded. The colonies. Send word. Many are ready to stand with us. Even some aliens want to join. Tom smiled slightly. Then we fight together. Across the galaxy, secret meetings were held in hidden places. Aliens from worlds once loyal to the Zarnik shared stories of their suffering under strict rules. They spoke of fear, silence, and control. Now, they saw a different path, a path of choice and courage. On a small desert planet named Jirak, a group of alien rebels prepared for battle. Their leader, a tall alien named Rethan, had heard the stories of humans fighting without fear. He gathered his people and said, "We have lived in silence for too long. Now, we join the fight for freedom. Together, we are stronger." Rethan sent a message to Tom, offering help and knowledge of Zarnik weaknesses. Tom welcomed the Alliance and sent ships to assist the rebels. Back on the Zarnik homeworld, the Elders struggled to hold control. Elder Velron's power was fading. Many of the Council wanted peace, but others still wanted war. Jorn, the young scholar, worked quietly behind the scenes. He had become a bridge between humans and those Zarnik who wished for change. One night, Jorn met with Tom through a secure channel. "The Alliance is breaking," Jorn said. "Your actions have inspired many, but Velron and his followers will fight to the end. We must be ready." Tom understood. "Then we prepare. We will not let fear rule again." The human fleet grew larger, now joined by many alien ships. Together, they formed a new alliance, a union built on trust, respect, and the desire to be free. The first major battle of the uprising happened near the Zarnik's capital system. The new allied fleet faced the last strong forces loyal to Velron. The battle was fierce. Ships clashed in the blackness of space. Explosions lit up the stars. The sound of war echoed through the void. Tom led the charge. His voice over the comms was steady and inspiring. "Fight for freedom. Fight for the future. We are the storm that will end the old world." Lena worked tirelessly, repairing damaged ships and boosting shields. The new weapons she helped design pierced enemy armor on the ground. The people of the Zarnik homeworld watched in shock. The old leaders were losing control. The new alliance was taking hold. Rethan and his rebels landed on the capital planet. They moved quickly, taking control of key locations. The people, tired of fear, welcomed them inside the council chambers. Velron was forced to face the truth. "The galaxy has changed," he said bitterly. "The time of silence is over." Jorn stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "We have a chance to build a new future, one where no race rules over another, where freedom is not a word but a reality." The council voted to end the war. The old ways would be replaced with a new law, one that respected all species and their right to choose. Tom received the news with relief. The war was not yet over, but the darkest days were behind them. He spoke to his crew, his voice filled with hope. We fought because we believe in a better future. Now we must build it together. Lena smiled. This is just the beginning of a new chapter. Across the galaxy, the stars shone brighter. The great uprising had changed everything. Freedom was no longer a dream. It was real. The war had ended, but the galaxy was not yet whole. The Zornic Alliance, once a mighty power, was broken. New leaders rose from the ashes, ready to build a future based on respect and freedom. The humans, led by Captain Tom and his brave crew, stood at the heart of this new era. Tom looked out over the bridge of Riverlight. Stars sparkled in the endless blackness, but what mattered most was the light of hope shining in the hearts of many. The long fight had changed everything. Lena, Tom said softly, we fought for freedom. Now we must help build peace. Lena smiled, her eyes full of quiet strength. It won't be easy. There is still much to do. Across the galaxy, former enemies began to talk. Many alien worlds that had once feared the Zornic now spoke openly about their future. The new council, led by voices like Joran and Rethan, worked to create laws that honored every species' right to live as they chose. The humans were welcomed not just as warriors but as partners. Tom often visited new planets, sharing stories and learning from others. He believed that true strength came from understanding and unity. One day, while visiting the planet Vesha, Tom met with Rethan, the leader of the rebels who had joined their cause. We were afraid for so long, Rethan said. But you showed us courage. You showed us that even the smallest voices matter. Tom nodded. We all matter. The galaxy is big enough for many dreams. Meanwhile, Lena worked with scientists and engineers from many worlds. Together, they created new technology that could help rebuild damaged planets and improve lives. Energy flowed more freely, ships became faster and safer. Communication between worlds was easier than ever. On Earth, families celebrated the new peace. Children played beneath clear skies, dreaming of exploring the stars. Schools taught not just history, but the importance of choice and respect. The long years of fear were fading into memory. But the road ahead was not without challenges. Old wounds took time to heal. Some leaders resisted change, clinging to power in old ways. Tom and his allies knew they must stay vigilant. One evening, Tom stood beside Lena on the deck of Riverlight, looking at the glowing blue earth below. We fought many battles, Tom said, but the greatest battle is still ahead. The battle for peace. Lena nodded. It is a battle of hearts and minds. Suddenly, a message came through from Joran. The new council faces difficulties. Some worlds question the peace. We must show that unity is stronger than fear. Tom took a deep breath. Then we travel. We meet these worlds. We listen and speak with honesty. We build trust. The crew prepared for a new mission, not one of war, but of hope. Their journey took them to distant planets and crowded cities. They met leaders and citizens alike. Sometimes old fears rose up, but Tom and Lena always answered with kindness and courage. On the moon of Jirak, Tom met with young rebels who now serve as leaders. You gave us a future, one said. We will protect it. Tom smiled, feeling the weight and the joy of their words. Back on the bridge of Riverlight, Lena worked beside Tom as they watched the stars. Humans don't ask for permission, she said quietly. No, Tom agreed. We stand for freedom, and we protect it with everything we have. The galaxy was healing. New alliances formed, old enemies became friends, and the stars sang songs of hope. The journey was far from over, but the future was bright. Humans had shown the galaxy what it meant to be free, and together they would build a new dawn.